Hi, everybody. Welcome to the December 2023 Microsoft Product Terms licensing update from the software asset management practice here at version 1. This is our last Microsoft licensing update for 2023, and I believe this is our 24th recording so far. So uh, pretty much created the habit, I think, at this stage, probably fair to say.
Mm.
So the month of December, usually somewhat of a quiet month with product terms updates, but this month there's a variety of different updates, some of them quite interesting. So I know, Neve, you first of all had a look at the universal terms for online services. I think there was an update there on customer copyright commitment.
Yeah,
So
well,
anything interesting about that?
all Microsoft have done is that they've included the Azure OpenAI service as part of the customer copyright commitment. I know we've covered that here before in the past, where like Microsoft will they say they'll indemnify against claims, but obviously there's caveats with that in terms of how you use their AI services and so on. What was kind of like what you would have thought might be obvious was the second part of that, where they said they've updated the online services purchasing rules, just to clarify that that certain add-ons are required to be purchased on the same licensing agreement as the underlying qualifying license. So I kind of like had a look at that to see, was there any specific add-ons that didn't have to be purchased under the same enrollment as the qualifying license. But I don't think that's the case. I had a look at the online services purchasing rules, and it pretty much clearly says that add-on user SLs as specified in the add-on sections of each respective product section and step-up user SLs must be purchased under the same licensing agreement as their qualifying license or their base user SL. So in effect, I don't think there's anything that's, that is an exemption there that comes to mind. It seems to be pretty clear. But look, I look to stand to be corrected in future. But it makes sense, because at least, everything is kind of on the one agreement. It's clear kind of what the qualifying or base license is, and it's all co-termed, for expiration dates and so on.
Great stuff. Um, so that's interesting nonetheless. Richard, so another month, another privacy and security terms update, I think this time on Microsoft Fabric. So anything interesting to report on that front?
The Microsoft Fabric one was pretty simple. They added Fabric to the core services and EU data boundary services table. However, the one that's quite interesting is the naming um, updates they made to Microsoft Copilot. So what is expected is that by the towards the end of January 2024, Microsoft is updating the name of the service plan used to manage commercial data protection for Microsoft Copilot to increase clarity. So the current name is Copilot, and the new name will be Commercial Data Protection for Microsoft Copilot. Only the service plan name is changing. The service plan will continue to allow customers to enable or disable commercial data protection for eligible users when they're signed into Copilot with their work or school accounts. Yeah. So that was the interesting change that happened there with the naming change within Microsoft Copilot.
Great stuff. Um, Neve, I know you're going to step in. I know William is usually here on these calls, but obviously he's on Christmas leave, holiday leave already. So I know there was a couple of
Yeah.
updates on Dynamics 365 and on the Power Platform that William was looking at. So I don't know if you want to pick up on those
Correct.
two and give us a quick update.
Yeah. So just in terms of the updated terms, the updated data use and access for abuse monitoring clause for clarity, and that was for both Dynamics 365 and the Microsoft Power Platform. So with the Microsoft Dynamics 365 and Power Platform services, what William kind of said is that what they're trying to do here is part of providing Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform capabilities powered by Azure OpenAI service. Microsoft will store and process inputs and output content solely for debugging and to monitor for and prevent abusive or harmful uses of outputs of the service. So authorized Microsoft employees may review such data that has triggered Microsoft's automated systems to investigate and verify potential abuse. So this is essentially a part of an extension to Microsoft's commitment to responsible AI and the terms of use that are acceptable by the customer prior to use. So the terms of use of OpenAI services are extending into separate products as a condition of use. So customers can apply to Microsoft with sample data to request the filtering of abusive or harmful content is modified for their use case. And in the event of Microsoft content filtering has deemed their data to be non-compliant. So why and what scenarios this may be needed isn't defined or described and is on a case-by-case basis. So Microsoft's monitoring and filtering criteria and the means by which this is governed and by whom this will be reviewed within Microsoft could create work for corporate lawyers, as it does open like a whole host of data processing and access rights questions. But Microsoft are being open and proactive on their position of responsible AI. I think there was another bit to that as well, wasn't there? Was it Microsoft? They added Microsoft Copilot Studio to enterprise agreement to EES, EA, EAS, MCA, and MPSA availability tables. All references to Power Virtual Agents and Power Virtual Agents capacity add-on were removed. So essentially, Microsoft has added Copilot Studio to the availability tables, and because Power Virtual Agents is now a component of Copilot Studio, then all references to Power Virtual Agents have been removed. Thanks, Carl.
Good. Yeah, so quite a lot to take in there. So probably a good segue to check out the blog that usually corresponds with this video each month, so you can get into the detail behind this, because quite a lot of movement there, I guess you could say. So I also looked at, give you a bit of a breather from talking to you, because I know you looked at the Clipchamp premium add-on as well. So just to give you a breather, I'll just go through some of the updates associated with Azure. So this month, specifically for Azure SQL Database, we saw the introduction of a useful failover benefit or failover rights. So now customers, you're using Azure SQL Database to get the mechanism right. They're going to have access to the following entitlements. So they'll have one geosecondary, specifically instance allowed for disaster recovery purposes. And the only caveat to add to that is that the customer will be charged for compute, storage, and any associated services as applicable. So there's the usual health warnings that come with any failover grants that Microsoft provide. There is some flexibility in there where Microsoft allow you to run the primary workload and the disaster recovery replica simultaneously for brief periods of disaster recovery testing every 90 days. And around the time of an actual disaster itself, so if there's a brief period where you need to assist in the transfer between both instances. Also, a couple of things to call out: just be mindful of vCores being used on the primary and the secondary. They need to map to each other, so the vCores on the secondary can't exceed the vCores on the primary. And there's a whole host of other little nuances there to take into account. So again, probably a good segue to check out the associated blog with this month's recording. Also, we saw some subtle changes to the terms, or the specific service terms for Azure Machine Learning. So we saw Microsoft introduce specific terms regarding model catalog and model registry. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Model catalog in Azure Machine Learning Studio is like a hub where you have like a wide variety of third-party open source as well as Microsoft developed foundation models and pre-trained models for various language, speech, and vision use cases. So here what Microsoft are saying is that any third-party models that Microsoft makes available in the model catalog and or the model register are deemed to be non-Microsoft products, subject to the terms of non-Microsoft products in the Microsoft product terms. So customers' use of any such third-party models is governed, and here's the most important bit, is governed by the third-party license terms provided in connection with the model. So, so again, you know, as we see a constant change around Microsoft's product terms and all things related to AI. So with that, I know, Niamh, you also looked at Clipchamp.
Clipchamp, I was so intrigued. I downloaded it on my phone just to see kind of what it was all about. And essentially, look, it's basically video for business. So I did kind of check in. So just actually to clarify, like the term is that under Microsoft 365, that they've added Clipchamp Premium add-on to EA, EAS, MCA license prerequisite tables, and the prerequisites are what you would expect. It's Microsoft 365 Business Standard, Business Premium, E3s and E5s, so not F3s, for example. And it's it's video for business using AI, etc. And would you believe, though, it's actually not available for purchase yet. It's coming soon. So even though it's on the product availability table, it's not actually there as a license, as a software service as yet, and it will also be available as a standalone kind of license in the coming months. But right now, in case you're absolutely desperate to get at Microsoft Clipchamp, it is the standard, I think maybe version might be included in your Microsoft 365 E3, your E5 Business Standard, and Business Premium, just not the Premium edition, which will have all these innovative AI features, I believe, you know, turning text into speech and all this great stuff. Maybe it does that already. Maybe I haven't tried it enough, but yeah, so that's pretty much it.
When I saw that update, I thought, was this the return of what was the little office assistant that was out many moons ago now at this stage? Clippy, I think, was that the name of the much loved or hated?
Pretty much.
Add-on.
I did. That's it. Yeah, I mean, it's clever stuff, and obviously there's probably loads of other kind of products in the iOS sphere and so on. But yeah, good to know that it's there anyway. That's the main thing.
Good stuff. And then Richard, just to wrap things up, I think there was some glossary updates.
In the terms. So basically, Microsoft updated the definition of covered products. The new definition means any Azure OpenAI service or Microsoft Copilot that is available for a fee through Microsoft volume licensing. So that's the new definition under Microsoft for covered products. And that was the change that they made.
Great stuff. So yeah, like I said at the start of the recording, there's quite a few updates for the month of December. So if you've been following our updates during the course of the year, thanks for keeping in touch with us and asking questions off the back of these sessions. If you are in the process of looking to renew a Microsoft contract in the new year, your enterprise agreement, server and cloud enrollment, etc., and you're looking for some support in terms of how to best plan for your Microsoft contract renewals or optimize your Microsoft licensing position, feel free to reach out to us here at the Version 1 SAM Practice. We'd be delighted to handle any queries that you might have. And not just on Microsoft products, we also provide services across a broad range of other third-party software vendors as well. So until we record the January product updates, I hope everybody has a great Christmas and a prosperous new year. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.